let's talk about this exam. As I told you, this exam is going to prepare you to act as a CFO, as Chief Financial Officer. And what are your tasks as a CFO? Well, first of all, you will need to get money somewhere. And to get money, you will need to understand how much you're willing to pay. So, for example, if you are planning to take a loan, how much of interest are you willing to pay to the bank? If you are planning to issue bonds, what is the interest rate that you can offer? And if you are planning to issue shares, what is the dividend pattern that you are willing to offer? So you will talk about the questions such as cost of capital. That is going to be a major topic for this exam and is going to be tested in part C, so where you have a scenario and you need to calculate something, which means it is essential for you to know not only how to calculate something, but also the discussive part. Well, for example, why bonds can be better than shares and why are they not as good as shares. So you will think about cost of capital. You will think about something like dividend policy. And to be able to see how your decisions impact on the valuation of the company, you will need to know about market theory. So you will need to know how different types of market efficiency affect the way that you establish your policies, your financing policies. And also you will need to know the policies relating to dividends and dividend relevance. Once you get the money, you will need to spend them. And to spend them, you might want to decide to invest them. And if you want to invest, so for example, to buy some machinery and to produce something, to build a plant and so on, you will need to engage into investment appraisal. And this investment appraisal is another major part of the syllabus, and it's going to be tested in part C, where you have scenarios and you need to provide your answer in writing. So that is going to be investment appraisal, investment ranking, investment appraisal. We are going to learn how to calculate NPV, internal rate of return, how to rank divisible, non-divisible projects, and so on. Another way to spend money would be to invest in working capital. So, for example, you want to attract more customers, and this means that you will need to offer a longer credit period. So in order to be more attractive to your customers compared to the competitors, you will say, okay, you can pay me not in 15 days, but in 30 or in 50. And that will attract those customers who really need this straight credit period. Or maybe you would like to discuss the payment terms with your creditors, with your accounts payable providers, so that you do not need to refinance yourself through overdraft. Also, you will need to learn what is the best order size for your inventory. So how to manage inventory and how to manage cash. So this working capital management is another part of the syllabus that is tested in part C. And in working capital management, we are going to talk about accounts receivable management, accounts payable, inventory management, and we're going to talk about cash management. So see how many parts, how many aspects of it. And finally, you can use your money to pay some dividend. And as we told, it's going to be guarded by the dividend policy. What else is important? Well, ratio analysis would be a must, so you need to know what the ratios are and what do they mean, and how to analyze the company so that you would have this 3D view on it. So not just from the perspective of profitability, but also from the perspective of risks. You will need to know how to engage into risk management. And talking about risk management, we will need to know about Forex risk, so foreign exchange difference risk, and about interest risk. So the great thing that you will learn is how to predict the future exchange rate, which is very practical if your company works with foreign suppliers or foreign customers. So we are going to learn so much. As you see, there are so many topics, and some of them are not really connected. For example, working capital stands a little bit aside, while investment appraisal and cost of capital are somewhat connected, and this means that there is a lot to learn. So try to devote at least 15 minutes a day to at least watch the new videos or to make some a few exercises, because you cannot comprehend that much of a syllabus within the last week before the exam. You need to make it a process. You need this knowledge to build up, and you need for it to have time to be absorbed. So the sooner you start, the sooner you will get to the finish line. And I will see you in the next videos to talk more about this wonderful exam that I absolutely love. Bye bye!